Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Just a reminder that this media conference today is under embargo till 10 a.m. AEDT tomorrow. As always, guys, questions in the chat box, cameras off. We'll get underway as soon as I get the first question there in the chat box. Anyone want to start us off? We'll start with Jasper Bruce.
Hey, Mitch. Mitch Marsh mentioned the other day that he wasn't able to tune in and watch the IPL, but did you have access to some way to watch your better half smash in the BBL the other night?
Yeah, it's we've all had a bit of to and fro with getting on the KO over here, but been able to watch a bit of the sport, which has been great, and to see the Sixers start the WBBL really strongly, and to see Elisa score some runs was great to see, and a really great start for them in the tournament.
Thanks, Mitch.
Andrew McLachlan.
Thanks, Cole. Hi, Mitch. Sort of heading into this tournament, and I guess the last couple of months, there's been a bit of debate over the balance of side in T20 for you guys. When you went to number one, it was the 5 specialist bowlers that I think you almost played all the games together. Do you think that's a balance that works with Australia's strengths, that the 5 specialists?
Well, it certainly did in that period of time when we played those 6 games in Australia, which I think you're alluding to there. In terms of the conditions over here, I guess that's up to the Finchy and the selectors. So we've got a really well balanced squad that I think we all feel cover all the bases, depending on whether we want to go down the 5 bowlers or 4 specialists with our all rounders. We've got a hugely talented squad there of our 17 players over here to cover all those bases. So again, we've only had the one session here yesterday to see what conditions are like. Obviously, we'll chat to our IPL players and see what they've been faced with over the last few weeks. But yeah, in terms of the makeup of the squad, I don't have to pick that, so I can leave that to the selectors and the skipper to worry about.
Well, one of those guys who's been at the IPL and done really well is Josh. I mean, how have you seen his T20 game develop over the last few months, or is it just he's had the opportunity to get some games in a row, both for Australia and now for Chennai?
Yeah, I think it's that opportunity to get a lot of T20 game time. He's always been very, very talented across all three formats. I think being able to have that opportunity to play now and showcase his skill. Sure, he probably picked up a few things along the way, but I certainly feel like he's been a high performer across all 3 formats for a very long time. He's just now being given that opportunity to showcase that. So, yeah, certainly his few weeks here in the IPL, he's shown his skill. Obviously, last night he bowled fantastically again, so no doubt he'll bring that to the Australian squad for the World Cup. And now, given that opportunity, it's great to see it come to the forefront and certainly put his foot down as one of our main T20 bowlers. If
I can just go for one more, so slightly broader T20 question, but there's a bit of a few theories thrown around these days about the best way to bowl at the death. One of your trademarks is your Yorker. Do you still feel that, by and large, is the best go-to weapon at the death in T20?
Me, yeah. I don't think there is a one-way beats all for any way in T20 cricket. It's such a fast and short format where there's a lot of luck involved. You're not going to... I can't sit here and say I've nailed the death every time. I've certainly been beaten a number of times. So for me, it's what I think personally, the way to go about it at the death is what your strengths are and what you see at the other end. It's not one shoe fits all. Certainly, I like to try and stick to what I can do really well and what I think is going to put the team in the best position to win those games. That could be different for any number of bowlers. I'm sure it's different. Well, Josh and Pat probably see it different to the way I see it. So, yeah, for me, I'm going to stick to my strengths at the death and not worry about too much what other guys are doing at that stage of the game as well.
Thanks, Mitch. Appreciate it.
Jono Baruch. Sorry if I've pronounced that incorrectly. Jono.
Great effort. Thanks, Cole. G'day, Mitch. You personally have had some tremendous success at some ICC tournaments and World Cups in the past. How are you feeling heading into this tournament with a bit of time off and back in Australia and not playing a lot of cricket between when you last suited up against India and until now?
Yeah, I can't remember when we play India in the summer. Yeah, we've had a couple of tours since then. Obviously, a few of us went to the West Indies and Bangladesh not too long ago. But yeah, have been a little bit of time between that tour and getting over here. Obviously, we've had to navigate a few difficulties being back home for the guys that have either been in lockdown in Sydney or Melbourne or playing a very little amount of cricket for their states. Obviously, we've had a few guys here in the IPL as well. So sort of mixed bag of preparation for everyone. Some have been playing some cricket. Some have been trying to find ways to prepare for this tour. For me, I spent a fair bit of time with the Australian women's team and Elisa. So that was a good period of mental and physical preparation for me. So yeah, I'm feeling good about it. It's been sort of, we're all in a position now. We've played enough cricket to know what we need to do to best prepare ourselves for these sorts of tournaments. And with our first training run yesterday, which was fantastic to get out there and get stuck into work for the World Cup.
Apologies for just forgetting about those tours, complete mental blank by me. But you mentioned the coaching then and spending that time with the women's side. How do you find the coaching of particularly the young fast bowlers there and expressing your knowledge to them? And did that ignite a passion about what you wanted to do potentially post playing days?
I certainly wasn't coaching. Benny Sawyer is the bowling coach, and I've got a great relationship with Benny, and we spent a fair bit of time, obviously, around him with him being the coach of the women's Sixers team as well. So, yeah, I certainly wasn't coaching. I was happy to be around where needed, and if questions were asked, give my 2 cents worth. I was happy to catch balls at fielding practice and be around in the background. But they're a great group to be around. They're a fantastic group of women who've been hugely successful for Australia for a long amount of time. Even the young players coming in, they're winning games for Australia, as we saw in that Indian series. So look, they're a fantastic group to be around. I was hugely grateful for them to have me around and to I guess pass on a little bit of experience, certainly around the pink ball and white ball format for some of the young fast bowlers there. They've got a great group of young bowlers coming through, which is really exciting to see from the women's side of the game.
Cheers, Mitch.
Steve Larkin.
Aaron was speaking the other day and he was quite bullish about your chances going into the tournament. Can I just get your opinion too? And he mentioned getting a fast start is obviously crucial in such a tournament. Can I just get your overall impressions of the mood of the camp? And as he touched on the need to get some runs on the board, pardon the pun, early on in the tournament.
Yeah, we had a fantastic first session yesterday. Obviously, the guys coming over from outside of the IPL, we had 6.5 days of quarantine here before we could leave our rooms and get stuck in. So, our first training run yesterday was fantastic. We had a few hours out there having a net session, getting a run around. Great vibe, was pretty chilled, a lot of smiles. So great start to the tournament in that aspect. And as you mentioned with I guess what Finchy might have said, it's T20 cricket. We've got 5 group games. I don't think you can afford to lose more than a couple, I guess. Obviously, the top 2 from each group go through, and it's important to not only start well, but you almost have to play some of your best cricket from the get-go, whereas tournaments like the World Cup, where you're playing 9 games in the group stage, you do, not that you have, I guess, room to lose games, but you do have perhaps a little bit more time, whereas the T20 format of the World Cup, you need to be winning games and playing good cricket from the get-go. So it's important for us to start well against South Africa and hopefully carry that through the tournament.
Thank you.
Andrew Wu.
Yeah, g'day, Mitch. You mentioned about 12 months ago, talking about the pandemic and quarantine and hub life and bubbles and how it really wasn't conducive to sort of living a normal life. Now we're sort of hopefully towards the end of this pandemic. I mean, how are you sort of finding life in bubbles and how much more do you think you can do with this?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously, the world's had to navigate that for a long time now, for near on 18 months, and certainly it's you know, I guess there's positive signs in Australia with New South Wales opening up and certainly numbers coming down in different states and vaccination numbers going up, which is fantastic to see certainly from the Australian public. In terms of the cricket, it's it does make touring life very different. Probably takes, a bit of the fun out of it, not being able to tour normally. I guess you'd say we're confined to hotel rooms, and we're lucky enough we get to play a few rounds of golf in certain places. So that's almost our escape from the bubble life. But look, no doubt that certainly Cricket Australia are looking after the players as best they can to accommodate some form of normality. But with the signs in Australia over the last couple of weeks, hopefully we're nearing some sort of end to bubbles and lockdown and quarantine, because it's they're not the most enjoyable of things.
And just a question on the I suppose the form of the team. I think about 12 months ago, the team may have been number 1 in T20, and I think it's down to number 7 now when I last checked. I mean, any thoughts as to why that is, and how confident are you that you can flip the switch in the next few weeks and make a real fist of this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge positive. We've got our full strength team here available to us for the World Cup. Obviously, we didn't have that through the West Indies and Bangladesh. We had some really inexperienced players and some young guys playing some of their first games of cricket for Australia come into some really foreign conditions and thrown in the deep end really quickly. So, not our best tour, but now we've got our full strength team available. Obviously, guys coming off IPL cricket in some really good form. And look, it's up to us now. We're set out to win the World Cup. We don't want anything less, and obviously that'll be shown through the next couple of weeks at cricket. But over the last, I guess, few years, we haven't always had our full strength T20 team available. Sometimes we've been on test tours while T20 games being played, but now we've got everyone available. We're looking forward to getting stuck in and hopefully showing the class that we all have.
Thanks.
Raj.
Thanks, Cole. Hi, Mitch. Just to ask you this straight off the bat, I mean, as a fiery fast bowler, how much do you like playing T20 cricket?
Yeah, I enjoy it. I've played 3 formats for a long time now, and this will be my 3rd T20 World Cup, so hugely excited to get stuck in here. Obviously, it's no secret we haven't won a T20 World Cup, so I'm looking forward to hopefully being a part of our first one and playing some really good cricket here over the next few weeks.
Have you had to change or learn new things along the way since you started off as a fast bowler, especially in terms of T20 cricket? I mean, pick up skills along the way.
I guess I'm always trying to improve and trying to learn on myself, trying to get better at my own game. And I guess the white ball format's probably the one that I've played the most consistently in comparison to Test cricket, I guess, or felt more at home for a longer period of time than the red ball game. So I think one of the things I take from all my cricket across the 3 formats is trying to keep my game plan and my role pretty simple. And certainly my role in white ball cricket hasn't changed a hell of a lot over the last 10 years. And I think having that clarity there helps me keep it simple and know what I need to do for the team to get us in some really good positions. So, I've always tried to keep my cricket simple. I'm not someone who comes out with 24 different types of slow balls certainly for T20 cricket. I've got a bit of speed on my side and focus on obviously my death bowling as well. So I think that's key for me, is trying to keep a really simple focus and doing a few things really well rather than doing a lot of things okay. That's sort of the approach I've taken to my cricket.
If I could just ask one more. You saw India making a change. They dropped a spinner and got in fast bowler Shardul Thakur in. Do you think more teams would be looking at using bowlers who've got a bit of variety and maybe a bit more, change of pace in this particular tournament rather than just very slow bowling?
No idea, mate. I can only speak on our squad, and I certainly think our squad's covered all bases in terms of variations, left arm, right arm, spinners, all-rounders, and certainly our fiery batters. So in terms of our makeup, I feel like certainly the group feels like we've covered all bases that we need to for these conditions in our squad of 16 or 17 guys, and looking forward to obviously seeing what conditions we're faced with. We'll talk to those IPL guys who've played at the venues, but yeah, I can't speak on behalf of other teams, only on ours, and we feel like we've got a really strong squad for the World Cup.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Raj. We got one last one here from Mel Farrell.
Yeah, I've got two. Hopefully that's okay. Hey, Mitch. Just talking about the time that you've spent with the women's squad, and you've sort of spoken about things that you were able to do for them. But for your own preparation for this tournament, was there anything that you were able to do within that environment? And is there anything that you learned from them?
Yeah, I think I've spoken a few times, certainly Lisa and I have, that I think both of our squads have the ability to start, I guess, interacting a bit more and learning from one another. They've, Lisa keeps reminding me, they've won however many bloody World Cups they have. I think there's 6 T20 World Cups now or something like that. So, or 5 and a couple of one days. But yeah, look, they're a hugely experienced team in some aspects, and then they've got inexperienced coming in who can win games for their team from the get-go, as we saw with, for example, Talia McGrath against India not too many days ago. So yeah, they're a team that find ways to win from almost any position. Even when they're not playing their best cricket, they find ways to win, and they're a fantastic group of people off the field. There's certainly no egos amongst that group, and they're a really enjoyable group to be around. And as I said, I'm hugely grateful for them to welcome me in as much as they did. Certainly, I'm not a coach. Yeah, I play a bit of cricket, but I was certainly there to first and foremost to spend time with Elisa and as a husband before we sort of had 5-6 months apart. But it was awesome to see them go about their business and play some really good cricket and win that series against India. So, and in around that, do my preparation for obviously for the World Cup and be able to bowl in the nets when they're not using it, do a bit of fielding when they were finished, and obviously help out around their training as well.
And so just following on from that, is there anything, I guess, that you take inspiration from or that you would like to sort of import into the men's team of the way that they do it? You talk about them winning from different positions, but is there something that you can specifically take from what you see in them?
Yeah, without spending too much time in around obviously their meetings and their planning and whatnot, only really spending time around training and obviously game days. Yeah, I think look, their record speaks for themselves. That they win games home and away. They won 26 one-day games in a row. They've won T20 World Cups. So yeah, I just think the collaboration can be better between certainly two really strong Australian teams going forward. Obviously, schedules aren't the greatest thing for that. Whether we find times at certain periods through the year, or obviously with the pandemic makes it tough as well. But yeah, obviously not knowing too much about the finer details around plannings and whatnot. I do think that there's certainly room for both teams to learn off one another, and but yeah, they're a really close unit that are just, I guess, have the outlook of they can win from anywhere, whether you've played one game or 250 games like Pez has. So not to say that our group don't do that. I think in time to come, I think both groups can learn from one another on and off the field and just collaborate a bit better and see what the difference is there in terms of I guess the preparation or the playing or the I guess the outlook of games going forward.
And just finally from me, sorry, obviously this preparation has not been ideal. Now that cricket seems to be quite cyclical in that you've got those cycles of World Test Championship, One Day World Cups, T20 World Cups, do you think that to be in with a really good chance, it's going to be important in the future to perhaps look at those cycles and plan for the teams that play in those a bit better? I know there's extenuating circumstances here, but just really sort of focus on the ends of those cycles and where you want to be at the end of them.
In terms of?
Well, just in terms of what players are available and sort of squad selection with that sort of goal of maybe 2 years down the line, there. Whereas it's certainly for T20 internationals in summer in bilateral series, they often seem to be sort of tacked on to a summer, if you know what I mean, and the players who are there. Do you think that there could be more focus just on, you know, where you are in that cycle and what you have to really aim for?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm not sure I have a straight out answer for you. Certainly in terms of the T20 game, I mean, it would have been fantastic if we had a full strength squad for the West Indies and Bangladesh leading into the World Cup. But then you have guys preparing for this through the IPL, which has been, I guess, fantastic for guys like Maxi and Joshy, who've played some really good cricket the last few weeks. On top of that, we've got another T20 World Cup in 12 months. So, I mean, you throw in the fact that you've got a number of guys that play 3 formats. Nowadays with schedules, it's actually impossible. It's near impossible to play every single game of cricket through a calendar year. Personally, Test cricket is still the pinnacle for me. I'm not giving up Test matches to play other formats. So there's no quick fix. There's so much cricket these days with 3 formats. I guess you're trying 4 formats now when you're playing the 100 in England. For me, it's always been about playing as much cricket for Australia as I can, and then the franchise cricket is a bonus. So I can't speak on behalf of others, but for me, I'm trying to play as much good cricket for Australia as I can for as long as my body will allow me to.
Thanks a lot, Mitch.
So,
Thanks, Mel. That was 3 questions, by the way, but just saying.
Sorry. The second one was a follow-up to the first one. Sorry.
Fair enough. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for joining today. We'll catch up with you guys in the next couple of days. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks,
Carl.
Mitch.
Thanks, Mitch.